Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing good and are ready for the webinar. It's still 2 minutes left, so we will let people join before we start. So we'll just start in a short while. Hello, yes. I hope that you all hear me good and clear. My name is Linus Karlsson Jutén, and I'm the Technical Implementation Manager here at StruSoft. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about our application IMPACT Tender Quantities and show you how to plan your tender projects in combination with your actual workload. A short agenda to just give an overview of what we are going to look into today. So we're going to start with a short introduction about IMPACT Tender. Then we're going to go through the application, just the basics about the setup, because that's important to have a picture of the different possibilities. Then we will plan some tender project and look into the actual process, and we will finish up with a Q&A. So let's get started. This is the tender application, IMPACT Tender Quantities, and this is the first main page basically with all the graphs of the workload and the tender projects. We're gonna go back to this in a minute because to be able to understand this, we need to, as I said before, understand the things behind. And what is tender? Maybe we should start with that. So tender is an application in the StruSoft family of programs, let's say, which enables you to do your tender planning in combination with your actual fine planned elements and rough planned elements from the projects that are ongoing. So you can see your actual workload in the future, as well as the forecasted one with the tender projects. And to be able to do that, we need to do some setup, and it's not a lot of settings, but they are all very important. So I'll just go through them a little bit. So when we go to the settings tab here, we see that on top of everything, we have this general setting with that allows us to decide the minimum probability level of the projects, the tender project. So this means that, okay, so when you add a new project, you have some estimate, like what is the probability that you will win this, and then you put that estimate as a percentage. This setting here will just filter out everything that is below this specific number that you put. So maybe you put some tender projects that are 40%, then you need to be able to filter out the ones that are more likely to happen. Sometimes, of course, you can lower this one later on to actually catch the 40% as well. But often you need to just focus on the one with a higher number. We will look into this one a little bit more when we actually do our tender planning. But this is the first and above setting here. But before we start, we need to decide how to divide the project. So basically, we're gonna work or do the workload for the different factories. Maybe we have one, maybe we have more than one. But in the project, you probably will have different element types. So yeah, how to divide those, because maybe you have one hall in your factory where you can do yeah, sandwich walls, and one hall where you do slabs. Then you need to divide those two, and etc. So here in the impact tender quantities, we have 3 different options. So the first one is the most simple one, and that's the element types. So basically walls, sandwich walls, beams, and so on. This is also the one we're gonna look at today because it's very easy to follow that one. Then we have element group and element product. So that's like more like categories of element types. So you can divide the sandwich wall into different groups or different products. So if you rather want to do the tender planning according to those, then you have the options here as well. When we decided what to divide the projects from or according to, then you need also to select some parameters to quantify the projects. So in our case, we're going to use 1 parameter because it's basic, but you have the possibility to use 2, and I will show you the different options for the parameters in just a minute. But when you have done this, we just go down to the next setting, which is the production groups. So basically, production groups are the one, like the groups that you will tie together with your product classifications. So let's say that yeah, this time I'm gonna do the different element types, and I'm gonna focus on walls, sandwich walls, and slabs. So yeah, I've used the parameter as we selected here. I've used the area because it's a nice parameter to use. We have 5 different options. So here, if I would have said that I'm going to use 2 different parameters, I could select area, and then in the second column that will appear, I could do like pieces, because then I can shift between those 2 in my tender projects. So according to what parameter we are using for the different production groups, we need to set the capacity, the weekly capacity. So we have a capacity of how much slabs can we do per week, how much sandwich walls, how much hollow core, and how much walls for each factory. And these can, of course, yeah, depend on which week it is. So I've put 2 different options here. And these capacities will then, yeah, show you or like graphically show you the capacity line that we saw here, this red line. So when we put those values in, we will get this maximum capacity limit, or what to call it. The last thing we need to do is basically take the production groups that we did and tie them together with the product classification that we selected. In our case, we have the element types from Impact, which is these, and then production groups, which we created in the second node here. So we just select, like in this list here, which is the one that we're going to use. So as I said before, we're going to focus on walls, sandwich walls, and slabs. So therefore, I've put the production groups that I created with the capacities. So with all these settings that we just went through, we are actually putting together this. I will just close the projects for just a second. So we have, as I just showed, put down the maximum capacity together for all these 3 element types. Of course, we can just select the sandwich and refresh the chart and just see the capacity of only sandwich walls. But we will just combine them right now. We also, this graph builds up with the parameters that we selected. So yeah, obviously it's weeks or time in the x-axis, and then the parameter will be shown on the y-axis, and in this case it's area. And if like I said before, if I would select 2 different parameters, I would have 2 options here to switch between. And then the factories that I tied together my production groups to. So I can say wall here, it's this factory here. Yes, so basically this is it. We have the actual production is the green and the orange staples here, and the green ones are fine blend and the orange ones are rough plan. So this is coming from the impact database. So this is the actual live project that you are doing right now, that you have in the production right now. So because these are very important to have together with the tender projects, because otherwise you cannot compare and see where do I have room and so on. This graph, like the x axis here, can be controlled by this period here. So we have a start and end date. So I have like from yesterday to the last of December this year. So I can see how much space I have left. And then basically I will just add my tender projects. So the ones that I already have created basically. So to say, so this is my situation in my factory. I have some production going on, and then I have 3 different projects. You can see the projects here, the tender 1, tender 2, and tender 3, with 3 different element types. And they are visualized here and planned to be here. So if I will win these projects, they will probably be produced around these weeks here. Before we start with another project, I will just go show you here project groups. So basically, you have one more possibility. So in impact projects, you can add a category of the project to, like, say, okay, I want to put the residential buildings in one category and one the industrial buildings in one category. So then you can just filter out those 2 different types of projects as well with your project groups. But I haven't put those in my project yet, so we will just use all groups. So yeah, I think this is like a quick go through of the basics with the setup and so on, and I hope that you all have some sort of picture of how everything works basically, and what we see on the screen. That's even more important. All the details we can go through later on if you want to try it out, but it's important that you know that we have the different the fine planned elements, the rough planned elements, and your different tender projects visualized here with your maximum capacity. So the next step is actually to plan a tender project. So let's say we got a project and we're gonna see if we can produce it. So how to start? Since tender is combined with other impact softwares, you can either create the project from here. So projects, project quantities, new project, or you can actually just go and do it in Impact Project Manager. So it's the same projects, it's just in different places. I will do it from here. So I will just click New Project, select my standard, and I will call it Tender 4. Just so pretty simple here. And that's it. Now it's created. So in the tender projects, we won't like draw any elements. We'll just quantify them with numbers. So that we will do here. We will in this tab project quantities, we have first on the top side we have the tender product. So basically you put in all your different element types in our case, or different project groups if you have that setting. And then in the bottom side here, we decide the pace, like the start and end period, and the pace of how many, in our case, square meters we're gonna cost every week. So let's start with adding some sandwich walls. Sandwich walls. I need to tie them to my project group. So I have my sandwich. This one I cannot change because it's from the settings. And let's say I'm gonna do, I have a small list here. So I use some good values. Perfect. So for the sandwich walls, we're gonna have 500 square meters. Then to just make it easier for the eye to see what's the different element types and different projects, I will just select the color. And here I will just say red. And you can add a description as well if you want to, but that's not required. Then the next thing here is calculation method, and that's how you want to calculate the pace. So first, or the usual or default option is start date to end date. So basically you say, okay, I'm going to start cost it here and stop here. And then Impact will calculate how many square meters you need to cost every week. Then we have three more other options, or two that are similar, but then three more. The next one is start date and pace. So then you say, okay, I'm gonna start this week or this day, and then I'm gonna cost like 100 square meters every week, and then we will calculate the end date. Or vice versa, if you want to set an end date and then see, okay, I'm gonna do 100 square meters, when do I need to start? Or the fourth option is to do everything manual. So we won't do the calculation for the third parameter as it is here, but we will just put everything manual here. That's if you prefer that. But we're gonna use start and end date, and the probability here right now is 100%, but I'm 90% sure that I will get this. So I will put that, and I will add a new phase here. So I will start my, when do I need to start, or when can I start? So I will just switch to my workload, and here it's hard to see the specific production group. So I will just close down, so I only have sandwich. Yes, so here I can see that, okay, I have some, I have some room, maybe week 49 here. So maybe 49 to 52. Let's try that. So 49 to 52. Like that. And then it says, okay, I'm gonna need to cost 125 square meters a week, which is okay for me. So I select the factory and save the changes. When I go back to the workload, I will see that nothing happens here. and that's because I need to add the project here, of course. So we'll just do so and refresh the chart again. And here we can see that the red ones are from, yeah, the sandwich wall from my new tender project. So that's great. And I see that, okay, it's well above my, or within my capacity. So if I could say that, okay, I can cast all these square meters on one day, basically, or not one day, but 1 week. But I want to spread it out because I might get some other tender projects to do. So let's continue with the walls. I will do the same. When can I do the walls? I can do it, let's see here in my list. So probably I can do it from week 46 here. I have some room. But I don't know, like here I cannot say, okay, I'm gonna put, or I can, but here it's suitable to say, okay, I'm gonna start it week 46, and I see that I have a capacity of around 100 to 150 square meters a week. So let's say 130. So I'm gonna put the start date and a pace, pace in this this option. So solid walls and wall, and I'm gonna cast 900 square meters, and I'm gonna use the green color here, and I'm gonna have a start date and a pace, and 90% on this one as well, because my estimate is on the whole project basically. So what did I say? I said week 46, like here, and 130 square meters every week, and this factory. So now I can see that, okay, I will need to the end of the year to cast these, but I will fit them in with no problem at all, because you see it stops before my max capacity. And then the next and the last thing is the slabs. So I will do the same here. I will find out space. So right about, yeah, week 46 there as well. And for this one, I want to use the start and end date. So I'm gonna do 46 to 50, I think, 50 or 51. So the same here, slabs, and let's say I'm gonna do 450 square meters. I'm gonna use the color blue, the start and end date, and then 90% probability. And yeah, 46. Let's do it to 51. And the factory, like that. So it's very simple to create like the projects. And if I just start my sandwich and walls as well, you will see the combined capacity. You see that you're well below here, so we can probably fit in some more tender projects. And it's very simple to change things. So let's say that, okay, so I was wrong. We thought that we're gonna cost 450 square meter slabs, but it's actually 800. Then you just save here, and it will update automatically here. And when we go through workload, it will update here as well. So if we check the slabs, it's closer to the limit, but we can do it. So it's very easy to adjust and change, and yeah, change the pace and so on. Let's say that I would say, okay, I need to do this quicker, so I'm gonna stop or finish the week 50. Then I see that, okay, it's too much here. So then I probably need to think a little bit more, maybe put some maybe this week or something, if possible. So it's very easy to see graphically the changes. So of course I need to change back to 51 because otherwise I will exceed my work load capacity. So now we have done the tender planning, and I will just show you here that if I go to my open project in Project Manager and do tender, you see that we have tender project. It's a pre-phase. So I can just open it here. Because let's say that now it's some weeks or months later, and we won the project. So we're actually gonna change it from a tender project to a normal production project. So keep your eyes on the tender colors here, or the ones here. For tender 4, it's the more bright ones. If I go to my project manager then and change the project properties, I can just see that, okay, right now it's type pre-phase, but I want it, so I will just change it to production. And what will happen now is that if I refresh this one, it will be gone, because now it's not the tender project anymore. Because now when we are starting to draw the elements and fine planning them, they will actually be, either green or orange, because they will be the actual workload that we will have. So it's very simple to convert the projects when you're done and so on as well. Yes, I think that's it. And I see that my colleague Thomas Gitzes have joined to answer any questions that we have got, but I think I don't see anyone right now. So basically that was the tender quantities and what I wanted to show you today. And I think we will go to the Q&A session. So do any of you have any questions that you're wondering about? Anything about the tender quantities that I didn't bring up or so? I got some question that, yeah, it's from Nikolai actually. So Nikolai Stevenson. I don't really understand what you mean there. You mean for the tender, the fourth tender project? Okay. Yeah. So so we have the question to, if I understand it correctly, you want me to you want to see how it looks when we fine plan elements for the tender 4 that we just won. Is that correct? Or for any project? Okay, so any project. So that was just a little bit confusing for me, but of course I can show you. So I'll just open a project that I have. Let's take this one. So the question was how do we get the actual fine and rough planning here? Because I said it comes from the actual project that you are working with today. And yeah, how do we actually do that planning? So basically we can just start the cost here. So this project is not planned at all. So first of all, we need to do the fine plan or the rough planning. So we can do it from the elements here. We actually have some dates, but let's select the elements where we don't have it. So the fine planning could be that we say, okay, I'm gonna start with an erection date for these here. Let's say I'm gonna erect these ones the 12th of November. And then I can use that to just do the other rough planning and finally see when I should produce my elements. So I will just do my change date, and I will change the delivery date with the production date, and I will just use the same here. And the storage date. And I will, let's say it's gonna be 5 days. Oh, sorry. So it's going to be 5 days before, and then we will stop at here at the planned production date. So I will just use this. Yeah, so let's say it's going to be 5 days before the production. So it means that, okay, the 28th of October, we're going to plan these. So now it will be a little bit tricky, but we can try to see here. The 28th is week 43. So we'll see 43 here. It says that we have 438 square meters planned. What happens if we now update these? Yeah, we will get some more square meters for 79 instead. So that's how you do the rough planning, the orange ones. And you also wanted to see how you then do the fine planning. So let's say that we're gonna do the fine planning for these elements at the 28th now. So 28th of October. And I just want to do it like that. Then I can just take my elements like this. And I can use my AutoCast, use more than 1 day if needed, and then start planning, and then okay, I got two. Okay, it's these ones here, the linked elements that are causing some issues. Let's just try again. Yes, now it will work better. So now I got some elements fine planned, and it's on week 43 as well. So if we see here, we don't have any green ones on 43. So it should be easy to see the difference. Like that. We have 38 square meters from that project. So the fine planning and the rough planning is done from either project manager or the resource manager. And I hope that was the answer to your question, Nikolai. I see that we got some more questions. Let me just find some good ones. I don't know, Nick or Thomas, if you are available to talk a little bit, because I see that you answered some questions, so you might.
Hello,
Hello.
Linus. Hello,
Hi.
how are you doing?
I'm doing a great job. How are you doing?
Great. I'm just answering a question right now, to be honest with you. So, I have a question here, which, you know, if the red line is cumulative of the square meters, for example, you are using here for all element types, but as you can see here in the production groups, you select what element types or what element groups you want to see in the graph, and you see now it's adjusted. When you refresh it was 1350 before, now it's 300. So of course it is cumulative as long as your product the product that you selected has the same, exactly the same parameter, which in this case is area. And that's why if you actually change one of those, if you change in the settings one of the or what are the production groups you have there? Yeah, if you take, for example, the one called flatbeds, and you add it in the workload, or no, you don't have to do any. Yeah, just it's fine. You will see the difference if you go to the workload.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you add one of the ones that, yeah, you see it becomes orange, meaning that the production group parameter for the slab and the flatbed is not the same. The one is driven by piece, the other is driven by area. And exactly, when you change the parameter, then you can see we don't have any capacity set for those, as it is a test thing. So you can actually do a lot of things, but what Linus wanted and what we wanted is to give you an introduction in real life how it's being used and keep it as simple as possible. We are currently doing some implementations in order to be able to do that. There are some questions about the integration capabilities, and I think through an open API and a connection to our system in general as a business system, I think you can easily make or input data into the software through our open API application. And then Jakob.
Any more
also,
interesting?
Yeah, Jakob, he's also the production manager, and actually they are using it. They have started using Tender in his company. He's actually asking about integration between, the production project and and the fine plant elements and the rough plant elements and the actual project. So basically what Linus was trying to show you, and he showed you before, is that, this is a tender project, but when you go into project manager and you change the project properties from a pre-phase project to an actual production project, then you are losing those information, those tender quantities, right? Because it's not a tender project anymore. It has been realized in the data, in the database, and we're going to produce it right there, exactly where Linus is showing you. A tender project is only pre-phase project. A production project is the ones that you have. So our recommendation is to actually have a pre-phase project, open it in PM, draw your elements. If you are drawing on impact design, fantastic. If you are not drawing on impact design, you can bring them in from Tekla, you can bring them in from Excel. And when you have the elements and you are ready to rough plan them and you've set your erection sequence and so on, then change the type from pre-phase to production. So they start counting as rough and fine plant elements instead of tender elements. Yes. Can we no, this is a very good question, and we would really like to make that clarification, because we call it tender. In Impact, it's called Impact Tender, but it's not Impact Tender, it's called Tender Quantities, meaning that no, we cannot issue any actual offers through the tender quantities. This is just a visibility software to get a hold of your capacities. So basically what I'm saying here is, no, it is the next step of a bigger tender module to becoming at some point, that we would like also to send offers to customers through our tender software. Change the production many times. Yeah, that makes sense, of course, that's absolutely makes sense. But as long as you are going into the process, you need, Jakob is asking, for example, if I have a 20,000 square meter project, right? How can I take this? And of course, I'm never going to be finished the design of the full project before I need to take it away from tender. And that's true, but as long as you start draft planning, this is not to see your capacity in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because you kind of know. That's why you have the fine and the rough plant, or it's not to see the next month, is to see in the next 6 months or 7 months. So if you have an ongoing project that is going to take a big fair chunk of your capacity, then you kind of know it is there, because there is always going to be rough and fine plant elements ongoing. So of course you have to change that project to production and realize that, you know, this is a realized project now, so I'm expecting more rough and fine plant in the future. This, again, this what Linus has here is a database that how do you call it? It's our database. We don't produce so many elements, so it's just basically a test is just a small amount. In your database would look way better and way more adjusted to your factory needs. Maybe, sorry, it's just coming a lot of questions now. Linus, is not
Yeah,
true?
it's
So
popping.
it's just popping a little bit. Model. No, you can import quantities. There is a person asking if we can base this to we take model-based production planning, assuming AFC, if we can like use, I suppose, and yeah, the production scheduling. We do the production scheduling using this tool at element level. That's like we do our production. Like there is a person asking about if we can do this based on IFC, which we cannot, but we have another way of importing elements if you would like to import elements directly. And the other question is through Excel. You can import elements through Excel. And the other question is if we do this planning for, you know, at element level. And yes, our whole software is based on element level. So all of our production planning is being done per element. At least, do you understand what I'm saying, Linus? Do you want to say something more here?
Yeah, so I think you mean with that they are based on element.
Yeah, it's based on element. So an element is an entity, and then we shoot per element. So an element has a square meter, an element has a volume, right? An element has an area, and then all the elements combined, that's what makes the maximum, you know, area that we produce every week, every month, and so on and so on. I think Jakob also wrote here, yeah, because they are testing it also in his company, that, you know, some projects takes over a year. So at the moment they are using, you know, secondary projects or projects that are not so big and stuff like that. But yeah, my recommendation here is, as Jakob's companies, for example, you just need to start using it or keep a hold of it, try to testing it. This is again the first stage, the first step of it. We have put some actual work on it in the last 6 months to make it even better. We made a presentation of it in the last user conference, and I hope there's going to be a little bit more in this user conference by November. So I don't see anything more. Again, if somebody wants to take it privately with me or Linus, we are more than happy to help, right? So
Of course.
just give us a call or you know, write us an email, and I'm pretty sure we can help you set it up and start using it immediately.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We got one more now.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, this is for fine planning, the question that you're asking me, Mr. Pani, I suppose. This is not so much for tender. You need to take away this is what we do when we just, you know, rescheduling and stuff like that. This comes from our fine planning or rough planning module. The tender one, if you have a backlog in tender, I suppose you can manage that from the probabilities of getting it. So if you have some elements, for example, and in the project quantities, you can see there, yeah, you see there is a minimum probability level. So if you, yeah, perfect, Linus. So if you refresh now the graph, you can filter out those backlog quantities.
Yeah.
Because
So
the probability is less than 70%. It takes up to 70%.
So in this case, my tender 2 project was a probability of 60%. So now it's not visible anymore.
Exactly.
That,
because we have raised the probability. So if you have a backlog that you don't want to see, or you want to filter out small projects and stuff like that, or things that you are not very sure that they are coming, right? So you can just put them at 30%, 40%, 50%, and always look at the graph with more than 60 or 70%. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Linus, I'm sorry for coming in. I just think it's better if we speak the answers rather than write them.
Of course. It's very good that you jumped in and answered some questions. Since you had a little bit more time to read them before.
Yeah, absolutely. You were explaining something completely different before, so.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that was the last question. So then I will thank all of the attendees, and also thank you, Thomas, for coming in for a few minutes.
You're very welcome.
And I hope that everyone has a good day. And I hope to see you soon again on a webinar or somewhere else.
All right. Have a very nice afternoon, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.